NASCAR gets down and dirty this week at the Food City Dirt Race in Bristol. Who should be in your DFS lineups and what are our best bets? We tell you all this and more tonight on the Backroad.
It's a non-points race, but it is a short race. Checkered flag. That's all this race is.
Two for the spades.
All right, welcome down the back road. Tonight we trade asphalt for dirt as we head to Bristol. Seth Woolcock back here with you. No Rod Villagomez, no Elliot Hicks, but I am very happy to welcome to the back road Ryan Stevens, the CEO of Win the Race and the host of the Big Guys podcast. Ryan, how are we doing as we head to Tennessee? You're muted as well, my friend.
All right, sorry about that. I had it on mute. Thank you for having me on, man. I really appreciate it. I just am ready to get past last week, and I know we'll talk about it, but tough ending there. Looking forward to some dirt racing. I think it'll be fun. I love these races, so I know there's a lot of haters out there. I think it's kind of fun. It's different. I don't know. Let's have fun with it.
Yeah, these gimmicky races, we were kind of chatting before the show. For me, they're always a wild ride, but I always end up coming out green. So hopefully we can help the IBT family tonight as well, Ryan. I do want to shout out that IBT family. They've really helped us continue to grow here at In Between Media this season. And I will say we are in the final week of our Keyshawn Nixon autographed Packers mini helmet giveaway. So if you guys are subscribed to the channel, just give us a thumbs up. Let us know in the comments or the live chat that you are subscribed some shape, some rhyme or reason, and we will make sure that we enter you in that giveaway. And Ryan, you are the CEO of wintherace.info. Can you tell us a little bit about that and all the tools you guys have going on over there?
Yeah, so it's something I started before. This is our first year. It's really just the ranks that I've been doing for the last couple of years. I've kind of perfected a method of trying to figure out all the loop data, what matters most, kind of weigh it and rank it out. And I call them true performance ranks. So, a lot of people, I was on some different platforms before, and then, was doing it just like for probably half the year last year on Twitter. And a lot of people are having a lot of success doing it. So I just wanted to start my own platform to kind of show everyone that wants to be a part of it, what they are, how they rank out. And then, I do betting, talk betting, my full cards on there every week. I write articles for DFS. So yeah, it's just a fun community. It's had a lot more people join than I'd ever expect. We'll be featured on a truck at Martinsville, which is pretty cool.
Hell yeah, let's go. All right.
So there's just big things happening. I'm very excited, and I'm happy to be here to share it with you.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm excited to dive more into those true performance ranks tonight here as we head to Bristol Dirt. But before we jump into the dirt, we have to look back at what was a wild Richmond race here in the rear view. All right, let's talk takeaways from Richmond. And I think the main thing that comes to mind for me, Ryan, is that this is not your father's Richmond anymore. This was an exciting, a strategy enriched race, and it had a ton of tire fall off. So overall, it was really fun for the casual viewer, dominated by the Hendricks earlier in that race. We were holding that William Byron ticket. He led the most laps here, 117, came out fast, won stage one. Late race, though, that was all Toyota, man. Denny Hamlin, Truex Jr., they had a great performance. Didn't have the finishes, though, because as Truex and Byron are kind of battling out there those last 30 laps, we got that late race caution. And then Bell wrecks Byron, blames it on Ross Chastain. Kyle Larson edges out Josh Berry. It was mayhem, Ryan. Before we get to the betting fallout of it, like, what was your overall impressions and takeaways from Richmond here?
Man, it's, I do these like early stage speed, late race speed, things like that, so I can see the fall off. Basically, like early run, late run. And kind of knew, what we saw last year at Richmond, those 2 races ranked out as like the 2 highest tire wear races of the year. So if you're looking from just that speed aspect of the fall off, you can expect. So the way I played it, I thought that I read it pretty well. I was on the Toyotas, and there's no coincidence that I was winning the most money during stage 2 when you got the long run and the Toyotas came to the top. Denny just blew through everybody. It was great. And so did Bell. So that's kind of how I played it. I thought it was very unfortunate when the cautions came out in the 3rd stage, because I really wanted to see those long runs. And the way it happened, they could split it in half, and it kind of ruined that aspect of it. So short run speed was also important at the end. And that's just not what I planned on, but probably should have, hedged some DFS lineups that way or something like that, because it never really turns out the way it should. So.
Yeah, and I think that was the frustrating part of this, whether you're betting on it or whether you're playing DFS or some type of season-long league. The dominant cars in this one, Truex, Hamlin, Byron, they all finished poorly compared to what they were running earlier in the race. And then there were just people who didn't show up, who I was expecting to show up. I was hot on Rowdy, obviously has great track record, had done good at Phoenix earlier that season. And then Reddick, I went right back to the well with him again, and it did not pay off. Overall, man, this was our first race here at the Backroad of the season outside of Daytona. We are in the red, so I am sorry to say that. Hopefully we'll be better this week, but we missed that William Byron 7-1 outright. We were on that earlier. Missed the Tyler Reddick and the Rowdy top 10s as well. We did hit our Bowman top 10, and we did hit Chevy manufacturer winner. Outside of that, though, the only thing we took home was the Willie B Stage 1 winner at plus 425. So that's all I really have to report here at In Between Media. Anything that you were either happy you cashed or sad that you didn't cash last week, Ryan?
Oh, I'm glad to hear you say that. It's been a successful year for you, because we're on the same page. The only other week in the red was Daytona. So other than that, it's been all first and seconds until the end of this race was just the disaster it was. So yeah, in the red again, but I haven't been since Daytona, so really can't complain. And then I hope we can stay on the same path and get back in the green this week, since we're kind of tailing each other here of when we're profitable. So let's get back in the green this week.
Yes, sir. Let's go ahead. Let's get back in the green, and let's talk a little bit more about some data and some trends heading into Bristol Dirt here with the Horizon forecast.
Hey, Michael, it was only 20% chance of rain. I think we got all 20.
All right, let's talk Bristol Dirt, guys. There's going to be 3 stages in this race. Once again, 75 laps for the first 2 stages and then 100 laps here in stage 3. Friday night, we're going to have cup practice. However, there is that high chance of rain. And Ryan, can we just get like the rain gods to go away here? It has been frustrating to bet on these races where we can't get any practice down.
Yeah, it's very rough. If you noticed on my Twitter, my top banner just says "Rain, rain, go away," and I put that up for Auto Club, and I told everyone I'm not taking it down this whole season. So I don't know. Maybe I should take it down. It's not working.
Yeah, hopefully we can see some cars on the track on Friday. Regardless, Saturday we should be in the clear. We're going to have 4 heat races, 15 laps each to decide the qualifying of this event. Cup race, of course, at 7 p.m. on Sunday night. So a little bit later, you guys can get done what you have to do around the house here, spring cleaning, whatever it may be on Sunday before the race hits. And we usually don't know what to expect here, if we're going to be honest. Like, this is a little bit of a crapshoot when it comes to gambling and DFS. We have data to back it up. But at the same time, some of the solid dirt racers in the field haven't done as good as we thought they would in the past. Joey Logano winning in 2021 and then Rowdy coming back here in 2022. Ryan, what kind of data were you looking at? What were you considering when handicapping this race here?
Well, I kind of took it. I know it's been a little funky, but I do, no matter what the race is, I still like to do my true performance ranks for it. And, it kind of, some certain guys kind of pop out, and then you start looking at him a little closer and you're like, oh yeah, I guess, he is a dirt racer. So I'm not too surprised he's done well here. Like one guy, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., it's well known. He's a dirt guy. He comes here. He's been fast this whole year. He popped out to me. Going way down the list, look at a guy like Ty Dillon. Like Ty Dillon, won last year. He is, according to my true performance ranks, top 10 racer in that race. So I just, I think there's edges to be had. I don't think he's in the same equipment this year, so I think that will matter.
Certainly.
But
Yeah,
there's edges. There's data that you can point to, and I think we can have some success.
And I know there are people saying, hey, there's nothing you can compare this track to, but I tried to compare it a little bit. I did factor in some of the speed rankings from Phoenix and Richmond into this because those are the cars, whether or not there's going to be dirt on the track, that I believe are going to be fast because of those speed rankings coming from our friend Ryan over at iFantasy Racing. I also factored in overall dirt experience and weekend experience. I did favor those guys racing that truck race on Friday a little bit in some of my rankings here this week. Recent performance, I think we have to continue to weigh that as we move forward through the season. I did also look a little bit at Bristol regular 2022, the fall Bristol race that is, and I am weighing a little bit of those Bristol Dirt 2022 and 2021 finishes and speed rankings here. Ryan, I think that's about everything as far as setting this race up. How about we jump into our tire tiers?
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
All right, let's do it. All right, tire tiers. This is our way to set the scene for the DFS landscape coming into each and every single race. We're using salaries based on Fantrax and salaries based on DraftKings here. So, Ryan, I'm going to set you up here. Driver A's, those are, of course, our top drivers, the guys you're going to have to pay up a little bit, or, maybe not in that top tier of price, but still you're paying in that 9, 10,000, 11,000 range over on DraftKings. So, Ryan, if I had to say who is your one anchor this week, that 101, if you would, who are you throwing out there?
Kyle Larson. I mean, that's not to be just, super chalk off the bat, but
Yes.
I just don't see how you pass it up. Dirt racer, as everyone knows, this guy can whip any type of car around a dirt track, or any type of machine around a dirt track for that instance. And you're talking about the speed. I mean, him and Byron have just been blowing everyone away
Yes,
to
sir.
start this year. And Larson isn't typically like the dominator or the super fast car on these short tracks like he has been this year. And they're just on another level. The other factor too is because of last week, if they have to use the formula for the starting positions, he'll be out front. I don't know if he's starting the pole. I haven't looked close enough at it yet, but I know he'd be up front with how he's been running. So you do that. There's no live pit stops. So, you're out front, you stop to pit, like you're going to stay there unless people stay out and don't pit. But it's hard to see that with all the crap that can get stuck, underneath your car in this and in the grill and whatever else. Yeah, don't need to keep going on and on about Larson, but I think he's in a league of his own this weekend.
4th place finish here last season, Ryan, so I'm expecting more the same for Kyle Larson. As long as you can stay out of trouble, that's the biggest thing. Stay out of trouble, and I think it's a good week for Kyle Larson. I'm going to put the other number that you focused on up there, and that's the number 24 car, William Byron. Guy has been lights out. I know he did us dirty at the end of that last race because of what Chris Bell did, but, I mean, listen. Guy has been an absolute clinic this season. Fastest car in total speed rankings at Richmond and Phoenix, 6th here in 2021. I think he's going to get back on track. I don't mind paying down for William Byron at 10,000 when I want a little bit of a relief and I don't want to pay up the 10.9 for Larson. Byron is my anchor at 10,000 here. Ryan, who else should be in this top tier for you, my friend?
I think I got to go with Christopher Bell. Just another one who can race on dirt, been super fast lately, especially on these short tracks. He's someone I always like on a shorter track, even though it's not, I would say like his forte is like a short flat track, which this is not, but you throw in that dirt factor, he's a dirt boy. So I like Christopher Bell here. I think he belongs with the big guys this week. The odds say it as well. So I know I'm not alone there, but yeah, Chris Bell.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to shift over to our Ford camp. I'm going to go with the number 22 car, Joey Logano. I mean, let's be honest. Every single metric you look at, Logano is up in that top tier this week. And I think we have to ride with him. I don't love the price of 9,800. I wish that was just a little bit lower, but it's still, I think you're getting a value with Logano at 9,800 regardless. So he will be in some of my lineups that I don't want to pay up for Larson. I'll try to sneak him and Byron into both of those and some pay down options along the way here, Ryan.
Now, I totally agree with that. My true performance ranks, he's actually number one because he's just been so rock solid here both years at this
Yes,
race.
sir.
It actually goes him and Tyler Reddick, Chris Bell, Kyle Busch. And then there might be a sneaky one here. And looking at the price. So with how we're doing the pricing, can we put someone in tier one who might be kind of mid-range on price?
Yes,
Or?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Let's get a little freaky here. And I might like a couple guys a little more than him, but if we're talking just sheer value and we're in, that's influencing where they end up in these tiers, then I like Daniel Suarez. Daniel Suarez has been rock solid at these. In my true performance ranks, I have him in the top 5. He's finished 4th and 12th here, but he was faster, I think, last year than that 12th pace finish would show. So, let's put Daniel Suarez up there. I think the price on DraftKings of 8,100 is a nice bargain.
Okay. I also like a nice bargain. Someone who has been leading DFS lineups to the glory this season, Alex Bowman, 8,500. I think he's a value once again. Write him in for another top 10 performance here. He has 6 out of 7 tracks in the top 10 this season. If you want to add in the Los Angeles race too, he's 7 for 8. The guy is on fire. And he's been a 6th place car here once before. I think he's going to get back to that once again here. He's been great on short tracks, great on road courses this season. I'm an Alex Bowman fan once again this week. I'm going to keep riding him until he proves me differently here, Ryan.
I love it.
All right, who do you have next here? You can either keep going with the A's if you think anyone else belongs in that tier, or we can drop down to the B's.
It's tough because once we brought price and value possibly into it, like some of these guys I can name, I guess we can put them in tier B. But
Sure.
they can definitely go to tier A. It just depends on if you want to swap out those Byrons, Bells, and Larsons for these guys. But if we go to tier B, I guess the first one I'll lead it off with would be Tyler Reddick. Obvious reasons here. Tyler Reddick dominated the race last year. And I just think, this car, he finished 7th here and 2nd. I didn't know he finished 2nd last year. I thought he came in 3rd. But either way, so he finished 7th and 2nd. Car's been fast all year. What he's doing is proving that he can race on any track type, which I really love about him. Like, he's learning, growing as a driver. And I think that, getting some tips from some of these guys, has really paid off. So, he can talk to Bubba, whom Bubba's raced on dirt plenty of times. So I don't know. I like Reddick this week.
Okay. Yeah, totally understand. It's a high price to pay this week, a little bit higher than I think I want to go for him, but I totally understand why you would want to go back from him. He's been good at the short tracks this season, good at the road courses as well. So I understand that price that you're willing to pay there.
I'm going to swap out the 45 for the 8.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. We're still getting used to that a little bit, I think, over here at the back.
Oh yeah, so am I. I totally understand. You might as well. I mean, I'm not going to speak for you, but might as well keep that one up there in tier B though, because I'm saying it if you don't.
Hey, throw it right out, man. How do you like Kyle Busch this week? Great at Phoenix earlier, but I mean, he was a no-show last week at Richmond. Let a lot of people down, including the Backroad family over here.
Yeah, I don't know why they were so slow. I don't get it. I would like to think, he's won this week where I think the experience on dirt plays a big factor into this. And knowing that the car was set up to be so fast, it's a different setup this year a little bit. You follow like Bozy on Twitter and stuff, like these guys they work on cars, they're behind the scenes. Said the car is not that much different. So if they had it set up to be that fast last year, I'm confident that they, know a little something, have this 8 wicked fast this weekend, and he knows how to whip it around a dirt track. So I think he'll be there. I like him. Okay. And for DFS, because he burned everybody, maybe get some lower ownership on him, which would be nice.
Yeah, I'm not going back to the well. I finally went to the well on him last week, and I got burned. So I don't think I'll be riding it there, but maybe you'll be on the right side of it. I'm going to throw out someone who hasn't been in this B tier all season long, and that's Ricky Stenhouse Jr., guys. I mean, a 2nd place performance here in one of his 2 races. Obviously, he gets wrecked out of the other one, but at the end of the day, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is going to come here. He's going to play. He could wreck out. I mean, there's no doubt about it that that is possibly in the formula this weekend. However, 8,900, like if I want to start my lineups with guys like him and Alex Bowman kind of anchoring it around that price range, I'm completely okay with it. I like him coming into this week. He's shown a lot more speed in this number 47 than he did just a year ago. So I'm going back to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. this week in the number 47.
I like it. I'll go with another guy who burns me every single time, Ryan Blaney. Blaney's been, again,
yes, sir. He's
solid on
cool.
both these races, but I feel like he's solid everywhere and can't finish. So why not? It's a perfect Blaney thing to do, to be solid on dirt and then actually finish well. So finished 8th first year in Bristol Dirt, finished 5th last year, got stronger as the race went on. And like you said with Logano, I had number 1 in the true performance ranks. Penske knows a little something here. Even Keselowski ran good there,
Yes.
good from what I expected. So, I like Blaney here. I think a top 10 finish is definitely in the cards. And, I didn't even, I apologize. I didn't look to see where he was priced. 9,500. So he's right around popular names like Chastain, Kyle Busch, like we mentioned, Logano, Hamlin. So, yeah, I think he'll be super low on this week. And, top 10 is definitely in play.
Okay. I'm going to go down to the 7,000s range for this next pick, and it's going to be Brad Keselowski. I love Brad Keselowski. I'm going to talk about him a lot tonight. I was looking everywhere on the internet to put him on our thumbnail. There's not any good Brad Keselowski picks. This dude is ugly. But let me tell you what, Ryan, he is good this season. Been fast. Been really fast. Top 10 speed at Phoenix and Richmond. And he was actually really good at Bristol last year, not in the dirt as well. Top 5 average speed ranking at Bristol regular, and then 7th fastest speed late in a run here in 2022 as well on the dirt. So I like Brad Keselowski this week. He gives you a little bit of relief in that 7,600 range. I'm on Brad. And before I throw it back to you, I think we'd be reminiscent not to throw Josh Berry in here as well. 7,700. Yes, this might be the guy's first time at Bristol Dirt here in a cup car. But, I mean, Ryan, he's averaging 46 DraftKings points per game right now. Obviously, a lot of that comes from last week, but the guy's been a darling so far this season for us.
Yeah, and I don't think it's, any surprise that you just look at the car he's driving. I mean, these Hendrick cars have been just blowing everybody out speed-wise this year. So, that car is going to come correct, and all he's got to do is just be, it doesn't have to be a wheelman or whatever you want to call it. He's just got to not mess up or not get caught in the crap, and this car will be fast enough to flirt with a top 10. So, yeah, some people are saying, he's been lucky with these finishes, and, maybe that's true a little bit, but the car's still been fast. He still hasn't been wrecking out. He's still there to finish at the end. There's something to be said about that when some of these bigger names can't seem to do it. So, if you think about it, he's beaten a lot of big names over the last few weeks. So, I like Barry a lot, man. I think there's a lot of talent there, and I kind of can't wait till he's up here full time.
He looks like a veteran driver. He's not making rookie mistakes, and that's what I love about him here. I'm going to continue to ride him, man, especially over there on Fantrax. They're not boosting his number at all. You can get him for the minimum still. So he will be in my lineup once again over on Fantrax. I will grab him for that amount of money. Ryan, up to you now if we jump into the C's or you want to keep going with the B's, because we still do have some higher price guys we haven't spoke about yet. The Briscoes, the Chastains, the Hamlins of the world.
Yeah, I do think Briscoe belongs in tier B. Dirt track racer. I'm kind of disappointed with the speed this car has this year. It's been okay. Like, he's made a little bit of improvement. It's fast at the end of Phoenix. Was okay last week. We'll get to one of his teammates that I really like in one of these tiers here, but I think I just really like that because the number was so good for betting. But Briscoe, needs to be in this conversation. I think he's going to be super chalky. That's one of the reasons why I didn't mention him in A or B. And, he didn't win the truck race that he was in. He did really well compared to the equipment that he had, but he didn't win it. And I typically like to see these guys, if you're a dirt racer and you're going down to a lower series, I would expect you to, lead half the race and be contending for the win. That didn't happen. And then if you look at like true performance ranks, race 1, I know, was a little bit of a shit show. In race 2, though, I still didn't have him like that great. I mean, he was fast at the end of that race, but until then, I don't know. I didn't think he was the best car out there. So I think some things happened that afforded him to make some passes and get up front. But I don't know if he's going to be super chalky. And I'll put my ownership rankings out on win the race this weekend. Then I'll probably be way underweight on it.
The issue with me for Chase Briscoe is just the history here. Like he is a dirt racer, so I know everyone wants to go and grab him this week. I'm staying clear at that price, man. It's such a high, like 10,200 for Chase Briscoe, Ryan. It's too much for me for a guy who's never finished better than 20th here. Yes, he led some laps here before. Yes, he has the dirt pedigree. He's running in the trucks. I just think the market's too inflated on him, honestly. I'll be staying clear of him here and betting, but I understand why a lot of people are on him this week. Is it primarily because of the dirt background, Ryan? Is that why you gravitate towards him?
Yeah, that's why. I think in Stewart-Haas racing is not, crap. So like,
Certainly.
but he just hasn't had a winning car.
Yeah.
So, for him to come, if he can come out and win this in that car, then yeah, I mean, he did that on his dirt track prowess because he didn't do it because he had the fastest car. They just don't have it. So it would be very impressive if he could do that. I'd be very impressed.
Okay. Before we leave the B tiers, I do want to throw Ross Chastain in here as well. The issue with Ross, it's the finishes here, man. Finished outside the top 30 2 times so far. However, he's been fast on these short tracks. Didn't wreck anyone last week. God damn, Chris Bell. That just pissed me off a little bit. But in general, like I think you're getting a little bit of relief at 9,300 for a guy who's averaged over 42 DraftKings points so far this season. He's had speed on the short tracks. He's had speed here on the dirt. He just can't put the finishes together. And that's what you're gambling with Ross Chastain. Can he finish? Same type of thing with Ricky Stenhouse. I tend to believe in him that he can get it figured out here the third time he's back. But that's just me here. Any thoughts on Ross and anyone for the start of the C tier here, Ryan?
Yeah, I got to start. I put a poll out last week. He was one that I missed, and I saw he ended up being optimal at Richmond. And it's like my poll on Twitter was, I think Ross Chastain's going to be 20% owned. And then I had two answers. Do you fade him? Or do you get smashed like a watermelon? And I got smashed like a watermelon. It just didn't happen. The car is just fast. I mean, you got to give him credit. Showing up everywhere, car's fast everywhere. We like his teammate up there. Suarez has been rock solid here. And if you were to ask, poll a lot of people who know a lot about these drivers, they'd probably be picking Chastain over Suarez if you given the same conditions. So yeah, I just think it's a matter of time before he kind of breaks through here. And because of those finishes, he's kind of off the radar. So you get that low-owned guy who's going to be fast. And, I really just hope I don't go back to it this week and then he fails me. But I think I'll be on him, like you're saying.
Okay. All right. Let's move to the C tier here. Who's up first for you, Ryan?
All right. So I'm sorry. I should have been marking these down on my ranks. I'm just looking at who's left here compared to where I have them ranked. So we haven't talked about Martin Truex Jr.
Yes, that I felt bad he was almost not in that B tier. So thank you for calling that one out.
Yeah, these are hard, man. Like he probably should. That's why I was looking forward to doing this. This is freaking awesome, especially since he's only 8,700. I mean, you could argue to put him up in tier A. I mean, this dude's been awesome here. I mean, I had Clunker last year. I think he got into trouble and just couldn't recover from it. But you look at year one, goes out and just dominates the truck race, dominates part of the cup race, and then you look at kind of the momentum. So we're talking about who's been fast lately. Was fast in that same package they ran at Richmond at the road at Coda. And then brought that same thing to Richmond and got up to the front and led laps. He's fast right now. So in a short track package, he is fast. Someone who can crush at Bristol. We know he's good at short tracks. I do, and he's been good on the dirt. So let's get Truex in here.
Yeah, I think he will be somewhat after last week, a little bit of a sour taste in people's mouths. Again, can't finish. That's the whole issue with Truex here. He has led 126 laps on this track before. I think he's going to have speed. He had speed at Richmond, didn't have the speed at Phoenix, the other short track this week. So he's a little bit of a mystery. but he was great. He was great out in Los Angeles at the Clash. And like that's kind of a similar track. It's a gimmicky short track. So
Yeah.
I like Truex at 8,700. I'll probably play him in fan tracks this week as well. So I like that call out. That was definitely who I was going with next. I'm going to move down a little bit in pricing this week. And I feel like I would be wrong not to shout out Michael McDowell, 6,400.
I love that one.
I mean, can you believe this guy? Every time you want to write off Michael McDowell, dude just comes out and beats an absolute dog, lays down a 6th place finish at Richmond. Call me impressed. Call me impressed because I absolutely love that 10.5 average finish position here in the dirt at Bristol. 2 top 20 so far, and I think he's going to come out. I think he's going to be fast. Worst finish here is 12th place. So I like Michael McDowell, especially on DraftKings. He's not as a great of value on fan tracks, but in DraftKings, 6,400, it's going to be a bit chalky. That's the only thing I'm worried about, Ryan.
Yeah, he will be a bit chalky, but he keeps proving that he can do it. And one thing I like too is that he's been running really well this year. So we've been talking about the speed. Their team as a whole, front row, has been, I think, what are they? They're a team record 3 straight top 10s.
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, they're
Yes,
clicking
sir.
on all cylinders here. And that means, too, I would imagine, again, I haven't looked into it or did the formula myself, but if we do get rained out and the starting lineup becomes the formula, I think he'd be in a better starting position than most realize. And a veteran like this, he keeps proving it over and over again. Give him that track position, it's hard to take it from him, especially when he does have a car that's got a little get up in it. So, yeah, I like McDowell here.
All right.
I'll stick kind of with the same theme then and go with a value guy that I like. Same thing. You mentioned for Truex. Look at the Clash. Look how fast he was. Kind of an oddball short track. Look at how he's been at Phoenix. Then look at how he was at Richmond. Like, again, those aren't similar to Bristol, but they're a short track, same type package, been faster than people think. I like Ryan Preece a lot here. And Ryan Preece raced this in the JTG car 2 years ago. And
Yes.
he finished 18th in that race, but I had him as the 12th best car in that race. So I think there's some room for improvement here. And what I like about him is he's not necessarily a dirt track driver, but he's someone that's driven all types of cars. He's like Larson, where they travel around the country and he's just winning race after race, wherever he goes. I like to see that. Like, this dude can whip anything. And even though he's not known as a dirt tracker, I'm sure he's raced on dirt. And so I fully trust him to be ready to go here. And no one likes playing him for whatever reason. He's always under-owned. So give me some Preece for 7K.
Okay, Ryan Preece. Did not see that one coming. I'm going to go back to RFK. I'm going to put Chris Buescher in. I feel like this is a teardrop. We've kind of almost, I know we're doing tiers, but I almost feel like there's a mini tier after those 3 that we just named there. And Chris Buescher, I don't think he's going to have a top 10 car, but I don't think he's going to have anything outside the top 20. Dude is very consistent here at Bristol Dirt. 14.5 average finish so far, 2 top 20s. Worst finish is 15th. And he was top 12 in late run speed last year at this track. So I'm all right with Chris Buescher. I would much rather play Brad Keselowski in that range. I think you're getting a little bit better of a value, 7,600 for Brad. But hey, Buescher's still been really solid this season, so I'm going to throw him in there as well as someone who he's not going to win you the week, but I don't think he's going to be last or anything like that this week.
Yeah, what's funny is with how crazy these races have been on dirt, in both races, I had him as the 17th best car. So it's kind of exactly what you said, not going to be top 10, but not going to be outside the top 20. He's just kind of there, and he's finding a way to finish. So I like that. It's a nice, solid, safe play. I think next up here, and this is, we just got to base this off speed alone. And I think he had a good race here. I'm going to pull it up, but let's go with Denny Hamlin. Yeah, he was pretty awesome here the first time around. And last year got into some trouble. So I think if you just look at year one and look at kind of how fast he is now, he should not be below this tier. So regardless of price or anything, and one thing about his price too is he's 9,100 around all the popular guys. No one wants to play Denny. He murdered people last week that played him, including myself.
Yes, he did. Yes.
So, yes, it's not like he's some sort of value play, but I mean, if he runs as the third best car again, like he did 2 years ago on dirt, he'll be 5% owned. I mean, it'll be insane leverage against the field.
Okay. I'm gonna dip back down into that low range here. I'm gonna go all the way down into the 5,000s. And this is a guy, like, you can't make a lot of arguments why you should play Eric Jones, but I'm gonna make arguments why not play Eric Jones at 5,900. You're never gonna get him for that number again. And this is a guy who has a top 10 here. He's not that bad on dirt. Obviously, he has shown very little speed on short tracks, and I think that's the big deterrent from him. However, I don't know. I think there's a little bit of juice with Eric Jones, a guy who average finished 16.5 on this track. Again, has that top 10 here, Ryan. So Eric Jones, I don't love him, but at that value, when I'm scooping down, if I want to play the top of the board more, I'm all right with throwing Eric Jones in there as a little bit of a dart throw.
I like it. He's another just a solid vet. Like, it's kind of weird too because he's so young, but he's like, for some reason I think of him as just like a solid vet now because he's not really in a great car, but he still can find a good finish. It is disappointing though, I will say, how they have seemed to have taken a step back switching to legacy. Last year,
yeah.
I feel like you had a ceiling last year. We haven't really seen the ceiling this year.
I was high on legacy coming into the season as well, so I'm really disappointing on that as well. Ryan,
Yeah.
who else do you have for this C tier? Do you want to drop on down to the D's? Totally up to you, my man.
I got one more for the C tier because it's a guy who's been working on his dirt racing, and I think he's just a solid driver all around. And I'll do a shout out here to Rotodoc and Stevie from their podcast Running Hot. But they made a good point to say, without these live pit stops, it's a big difference. And one thing that I do on Win the Race is I have 4 tire pit stops. These called crews are terrible. So without him losing spots in the pits, I love Justin Haley. Justin Haley is just someone who, last year, rock solid, had him as the 15th best car. He finished 14th. So just, right there, I think if I got to look at the betting market, maybe a top 10 bet is something that I might look at for him. But I do, kind of like you said with Buscher, just rock solid. I don't think he's worse than a 20th place car, but top 10, probably not just based on speed alone. So rock solid, though, at his – let's see where he's at. He's at 6,900, so not too expensive at all there.
Okay. I'm going to throw one more person into this tier who has surprised people a little bit this season, and that's Ty Gibbs, man. Shout out to this guy. Hard not to root for him a little bit right now. Everything he's been going through in the last 6 to 9 months or so, and 3 straight top 10s coming into this race. And again, the same argument can be made for him that can be made for some of these drivers. He's never raced at Bristol Dirt. And I'm not worried about it, though, because this is such an all-around driver. He had never raced in COTA in a Cup Series car, top 10. He's done it on short tracks. He's done it on super speedways in the last 3 weeks. He's done it everywhere. And down at a very fair price of 6,700, I like him as a little bit of a pivot option. He's getting more and more rostered as the weeks go on, so he's not going to be as great of a value as he's been in some of those optimal lineups over the last few weeks. But I don't mind Ty Gibbs here. I think he belongs in the C tier.
Yeah, I really like it. Seems like it took Grandpa a little while to get that car going, but that car is back now. So
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's good. So I guess I'll start this one out with a value play, and we put his teammate right above him here. Let's go with Todd Gilliland at 5,300. Just someone that, I can't put him in a tier below this. He can't go down to the E's because I don't think he's that kind of equipment. One, like we said, front row's got 3 straight top 10s, and they don't seem to be too fluky. I mean, they need a little bit of luck for it, but last year, I had him as the 20th best car. He finished 17th. Just kind of the MO for these front row guys, survive at a track like this. He's won here, or not here, but he's won in a truck on dirt. He's got some experience. I just love this. I can't put him down there in the bottom tier. No way, especially not at this price.
Okay. All right. I think we should just do a little housekeeping here. I think Kevin Harvick belongs in this tier. I'm not playing Kevin Harvick this week just because of the finishes we've seen here at Bristol Dirt. So I'll be staying away, but I think he's still always, competitive wherever he goes. So Kevin Harvick belongs here. I need to pose this question because I'm seeing a lot of Austin Dillon love out there this week, and I just don't get it. I just don't get it, Ryan. Make it make sense. The price is up. I liked him last week as a little bit of a value. It didn't really come to fruition, but he's back up at 7,400 here, man. He's been such a lame duck this season.
Yeah.
What's the story? Can you make a case for Austin Dillon, Cindric, Almirola, any of these veteran guys still left on the board?
No, I mean, it's kind of tough. Like Austin Dillon, I think what people see, like according to my true performance ranks, he did have the 8th best car last year when he was racing. But, one of his things that he does everywhere is he finds a way to finish better than his car was. And here, I think he's kind of proven that he just can't do it. So I don't know, man. Like, what's his price anyways, Austin Dillon?
Austin Dillon is up right now at 70.
Yeah, I mean, no way.
7,400. Yeah. So like that's why like I honestly think he belongs in the East. Like people are all over him though this week, and I can't understand.
Yeah, if he's gonna be chalk there, then I totally agree. He's down in the E's. I think one person that should go up in D's would be Bubba.
Yes, he was the one I thought you could maybe make a case for. Been a little bit better on dirt than I think we give credit for. It's just the finishes really aren't there for Bubba Wallace. What do you like about him, Brian?
I just like that he's got some dirt track experience, and that this car is based on speed alone does not belong in a bottom tier of anything. So you do that, plus you mix in a little bit of experience on this. I don't mind it, and and he's $200 cheaper than Austin Dillon. I would take him every time over Austin Dillon here. So
okay,
got to be a tier above.
I also want to throw our friend number 7 car Corey LaJoy up in this D tier. 5,000 for Corey LaJoy. I mean, when are they going to realize this guy's averaging over 32.5 DraftKings points per game? And he already has a 19th place finish here. He's been setting PRs all season long. It didn't come to fruition last week. I actually had to bite the bullet on the Todd Gilliland matchup with him last week, and so it didn't come to fruition. But I think at 5,000, he'll be in my lineups once again. He's gonna make me money, man. So I'm gonna have to keep following it here. Anyone else for the D's before we just?
I do think both colleagues should go in the D's.
Okay.
Just because they're cheap. I think Dinger's 6,300, Davenport's 66. Just the casual person's not going to play Davenport, seeing it being like a third Colleague car. One nice thing about that, though, is like, again, no live pit stops. You don't get that slow ass, Colleague crew. And he's actually a real ringer. Like people talk about these ringers at road courses and places like that. Like to me, Davenport has dominated the dirt game everywhere he's gone. And he's not so old to where I think he's lost it. I think he's like 39 years old. So a lot of people think that's like the prime of a driver. So, and she's racing the Spire truck the night before. So you get a little track experience in there too, whipping it around. So I don't know, 6,600, that some people might think that's kind of a lot for him. I think he'll be underowned and in a Colleague car that didn't we just see, isn't this the one that Chandler Smith just raced last weekend?
Yes. Chandler Smith. That I loved him last week. That was one of my favorite calls of the week. Yeah.
So look what he was able to do with that. And now you give a guy who's, arguably has, I don't think you can argue. I think he's got more dirt racing experience than everyone on the board in a Colleague car here. So I like him.
Okay. Is there anything that prevents you from putting Austin Cindric down in the E's here? Because he's not been bad this season, but he's just been so mediocre. About an 18 average finish position so far this season, and he finished 16th here last year. So, is there anything that am I downplaying Austin Cindric here this week?
No, the only thing I would say is if you're looking at the D's, based on speed alone and his team and how great Penske's been on these,
true.
I think he should be a D.
Okay.
But for Almirola in a Stuart Haas, I think he should totally be an E. I mean, he fails on tracks he's supposed to be great at. So that guy just can't get anything right.
Yeah.
I put a poll out last week too. It was like, what is the most evil thing in the world? And it only had 2 answers: Big Pharma or Chalk Almirola. And Almirola actually beat Big Pharma. So So I don't know. I mean, he'll be super low owned, that's for sure. So if you want to take that risk, but I'm just sick of doing it.
Yeah, as long as you're not playing against one of our regular co-hosts, Rod Villagomez. I mean, that guy can't get enough Almirola every single week. He'll eat that. So is there anyone else you can make the case for either positively or negatively that belong in E or D here? Because I don't really want to touch any of the rest of these guys, honestly. I don't think I'll consider them at all in my lineups here, Ryan.
No, if you're going full all out, like jam the studs and punt, you could punt to Yelly because Yelly's got some dirt experience. But I couldn't tell you, like, I'm confidently recommending that. It's just he'd be the only one down here. I'm like, okay, at least he's raced on dirt quite a bit. So
all right. Fair enough. I think that's going to do it for the tire tiers, though. Guys, let's go ahead and switch over to the betting portion of the show with parking garage props. All right, Ryan, we're going to start this out how we always do here on the back road. We're going to critique the books. What was your overall impressions? Definitely some favorable odds there, lower down the board. Of course, the favorite's a little bit juice, though.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, FanDuel, when they first came out, had some top 10s that were a little crazy. I grabbed one. Overall, though, I wasn't too pleased. I didn't think I was going to bet any favorites. I was going to, like, early week put some long shots out there, which I did, of numbers I just thought were way too far. But there were two specific guys I thought were just a little too far in MGM, and they've since come down. So I don't know. Like, do you want to just
Yeah. Let's go ahead. Let's get into outrights. Are we talking outrights? Is that where you want to go?
Yeah, that's mostly what I've done. I could not pass up, just based on how they've done both times at Bristol Dirt in two different sets of conditions, two different, car setups they were trying for this race. And at 14-1, I got Logano and Kyle Busch, both 14-1 on MGM. And I think since those numbers are gone, but I just couldn't, compared to where they were priced everywhere else and how my True Performance ranks had them, I could not pass those up as two favorites. And nothing crazy, just a unit on each one. And, I have sprinkles that we can talk about. I want to hear kind of who your favorites are too, as far as the favorites on the board. But
yeah, I don't mind those plays at all. I went chalk at the top, man. I 550 is the best number I can find for Larson at Barstool. I don't know if you're finding anything better. I also like him for a top 5 as well, plus 115 at Barstool. And I don't think we need to get into his dirt track experience. We know who Kyle Larson is. This guy is just addicted to dirt track racing. He's actually racing tonight over in Bills Gap, Tennessee. So in the late model series. So he's going to be, he has the dirt track experience. 4th here last year, got wrecked in 2021. Top 5 speed and finished at Bristol regular, though, as well in 2022. So I think he's slowly figuring out this track in his career. 2nd in total speed rankings at Richmond, 3rd at Phoenix. So he's been fast at dirt tracks. He has the short tracks. He has the dirt track experience. I'm taking the juice a little bit here. I just don't see a reason not to.
Yeah, I don't mind it. The only reason I haven't hit him yet is I was just kind of waiting on the weather, to see if he is going to be starting up front. And I didn't know how much they'd really take away from that number once that's confirmed. So I've just kind of been hanging out on it a little bit. But yeah, like we did with the tiers. I mean, he was my number 1 pick for sure.
Yeah. So that's like, he is the only one short. I'll talk about William Byron because I will sprinkle him as well at his current number. Just when you're getting a guy running that hot in the NASCAR Cup Series and you're getting him at plus 1,200 a lot of places, you have to take a bite of it. I will be. Who else are you liking here in the outright market, Ryan?
So I put a couple sprinkles on early week. I got Ryan Preece 90-1. Again, just a sprinkle on it, but
that's
he's
sick.
just someone I think can
You're
surprise.
sick.
He's just kind of like my boy this year. Like, I knew he was a good short track driver, so I was all over him for the Clash. It worked out until it didn't. And then I think he's been performing really well, at Phoenix. Richmond, he's beating guys like, Briscoe and stuff who get touted up to be so nasty at these places. And so is this another one? I know Briscoe's got that dirt experience, but Priest has just been a little better. So let's see what happens. At 90-1 when Briscoe's 9-1. Yeah, I mean, I'll just put a couple bucks on it and see what happens. And then I did 200-1 Todd Gilliland.
Oh my God, jeez.
Which I just thought that was a dumb number. Like you just throw whatever on, like 0.05 units or whatever you want to throw on it, and just have it out there for shits and gigs. And when he came out on FanDuel, he was 10-1 for a top 10. He was 14-1. I missed that, unfortunately. So I got him at 10-1 for a top 10, little sprinkle on that too, for Todd Gilliland. And that's really all I got so far. I don't know if you've got any more, or we can talk about other top 3, 5, 10 numbers.
Yeah, before we jump into the placement props, I do have one more that the math checks out for me on a value play, and it's Brad Keselowski. I got him at 33-1 already. You can also give him top 10 plus 150. 2 11th place finishes here in Bristol Dirt, despite an average 19th finish. This is a guy who's not going to come out, and I don't expect him to qualify well, so maybe this number even drops a little bit. But by the end of the race, Brad Keselowski is going to find himself, in my opinion, in the top 10, maybe competing for a win as well. 7th fastest driver late in a run here in 2023. 3 wins at the regular Bristol, top 5 in average speed ranking at Bristol regular in 2022, and top 10 speed at Phoenix and Richmond, 2 of the closest tracks we can compare it to this season. He's got to get a win sometime, and I think could be here. He's the one long shot I'm taking at 33-1. I like him a lot. Any thoughts on Brad Keselowski before we move into the placement props here, Ryan?
I like it. If I'm looking in the middle there, I do like Keselowski a lot. Based on what you said, I feel like I'm always lower than him than I should be. Certainly was last week. I should have had more. I just, for whatever reason, I'm just not a believer. I don't know if I'm pulling too much in from the year prior or whatever I'm doing, but I'm a little low on him right now. I had to do the same with the trucks. I was a little low on Nick Sanchez without having any data on that truck, who's got a KBM, affiliate, and he's just super fast. And I always have to pump him up every time. So I might need to add a little bit more to Keselowski and boost him up a little bit if he's going to remain this fast early on in the season. But the other guy, too, that was kind of right in that same range, I think you still get him at 25, would be Ricky Stenhouse. We talked about him in the tiers, but always like a dirt racer. And if you saw it last week, I mean, he was blowing through the field until his car had trouble. He was up to 4th place and passing people with ease. So look at his year as a whole, too. He's overperforming everywhere this year. So now you kind of put him in his element on a short track on dirt, and he's already been good in the first 2 races, and now he's coming in with probably his best car he's had, or hopefully they bring that same speed. I think 25-1 is nice. If they get those heats and stuff, he won't be 20. He'll be 12-1 by the time those are over. So another one I'm waiting to see. I want to see more on the weather, and if I think it's going to get rained out, I might wait because I think he'd start in the back, and maybe 25-1 gets a little better. But if they're going to have heats and stuff, I hit it immediately because I think that number's going to get chopped in half.
Okay. Let's go ahead into the placement props here. Ryan, is there anything that stuck out to you? This is finally actually kind of a fun week for the top 10 market. It's been a couple down ones in a row here. We're getting a little bit of fun. Anything you can suggest for the listening audience out there?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now. I'm in New York, and we don't have that many offerings. I basically only have Caesars and FanDuel that offer top 10s. Okay. I don't know where you are, how many books you have that offer cool props. We used to have way more in New York, and then they just DraftKings doesn't offer it anymore. No one knows why. It's so weird.
Yeah, I think DraftKings had top 10s for one race this season. I think it might have been Coda, where they were so juiced they weren't even worth touching. So I understand your frustration there.
Yeah, I think if I'm looking now, one guy who's been rock solid, and I put him up there in that first tier, been very, very fast this year. And I'm kind of looking, maybe you can get some even money on someone. Daniel Suarez, plus 105 on FanDuel right now for a top 10. And I can shop it over on Caesars real quick, see if it's any better. Yeah, he's minus 110 there. So on FanDuel, you get him plus 105. I don't mind that at all. Suarez has been solid. it's like you think, oh, Daniel Suarez, dirt racer. It's like, no, that's not what he does. But Trackhouse, like we said, just becomes fast. Everywhere they go, they're fast. And so he's been surprisingly good, kind of like Martin Truex, also not a dirt racer, but both very fast here. They've been good. I like Suarez a lot this week.
Okay. I'm going to go with another guy who's shown a lot of consistency both here and in the season. It's Alex Bowman. I was surprised I haven't heard more about him this week. I was hoping he would get in the trucks, and it seems like that's not the case this week, unfortunately. But for a top 10, minus 120 at Barstool, and like it just drives me insane that people call this guy a hack still when he's been arguably the most consistent driver so far this season. Average finish of 7.1. That's the best by a wide margin. 6 of 7 top 10s. 6 here last year, and he's just good at these weird tracks, man. He's good at road courses. He's good in the dirt. Like, people don't give him credit for the driver he is on these different tracks. So I'm going to continue to ride Alex Bowman. I'm going to continue to ride with his teammate William Byron. I talked about him earlier too, but top 10 speed here last year at Bristol regular, and the fastest car so far in total speed rankings at Richmond and Phoenix, minus 125. That's the best number you might see in months on a William Byron top 10. So I'm going to take that. I know it's not plus odds. It's not super sexy, but those are two plays I like in that market here.
No, if you've just ate the juice and played, top 3 and 5 numbers on Hendricks this year, you've been balling out. So I can't argue that there. This team is just so freaking fast. It's crazy.
Anything else in the placement market that you like, Ryan, before we move into the head-to-heads, group specials, anything like that?
Depending on where Larson gets, because like I said, like that, 5.5 to 1 is pretty slim. I don't know. His top 3 is plus 150. I don't mind that, especially if we see he's going to be starting up front, no live pit stops. Like I could see him running up front all day. So to get better than even money on that sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, I've already clicked the top 5 for him. Plus 115 on Barstool. That's kind of, again, I like him for the outright, so I'm also going to take him in the top 5 market there as well. That's
a good number because, like on Caesars as comparison, he's minus 150. So that's a great number.
Yeah. Barstool is very favorable over there in the placement prop. I continue to hammer those.
We don't have them in New York. It stinks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They're like headquartered there, so you would think that you'd get them. Okay.
Yeah, we don't have them.
Okay. Let's go ahead. Let's go over to head-to-heads and groups and specials here. The one that I like, which I'm just going to throw it out there right now because I don't think you're going to be on board with this. I don't think most of the industry is. But right now, you can get Alex Bowman for plus 139 against Chase Briscoe. And I know Briscoe has the dirt background, but at that number, I've already hit this. I think this is at DraftKings, but I need to double check. I don't have it written down, but I love Alex Bowman this week in the head-to-head. I just don't get the Briscoe hype, man. It's Barstool. That's Barstool. My apologies. I don't get the Briscoe hype. It's 182, minus 182 on the other side for Briscoe. I know he can lead laps here, but I trust Alex Bowman to get the highest finishing. This is about finishing. This is about leading laps. This is about stage points. This is about finishes. So I'm going with Alex Bowman there, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on that one, Ryan, because I know it's not a popular one.
No, I mean, according to my ranks, I'd have him probably about even. It'd be a toss-up. It probably wouldn't be something that I would bet, but I totally hear you. Like the one that I'm going with is actually fading Briscoe as well. So we are aligned in not falling in love with Briscoe like everyone is this week. So
okay, where are you going then?
Mine would be Kyle Busch plus 105 over Briscoe on DraftKings.
What?
So
what? How is that even a number? This
is just telling you how juiced Briscoe is getting by everyone. I mean, this is going to be how DFS is too. Like he's going to be insanely highly owned, and so if you can just have the nugs to not click him all the time, you're going to be looking pretty good. If he does what I think he'll do, which I think he'll be good, but might not be worth all that money. So yeah, plus 105 for Kyle Busch. Like I said, I already bet him 14 to 1. I think that 8-car can. RCR obviously knows something about this setup to make that car that fast last year, because it ain't like Tyler Reddick's, some huge dirt track guy.
Dirt track hero, yeah.
So I mean, like that car was fast as hell. So I think Kyle Busch can come with a fast car finally again, like since Auto Club, and contend here. You know, they did it at Auto Club too. That's another car where the 8 is always set up fast. And guess what? That thing was a rocket. So I think this is a track if they figured it out, he'll come fast plus 105. I'm locking that in.
Okay. All right. I'm here for it. I'm going to go to a head-to-head or a group bet here with my next one. It's back to Brad Keselowski for me, plus 325 over here on Barstool Sportsbook in Group D. It's against Truex Jr., Ross Chastain, and his teammate Chris Buescher. No top 10s for anyone here at Bristol Dirt in this group. That's what you got to realize. No one has done particularly well, but Brad does have two top 11s. Ross and Martin have had short track speed, but I don't trust Ross to stay completely clean here with those 30th place finishes so far at this track. And Martin's team and just the bad juju overall, I just can't get behind it. I know there's no live pit stops, but still, I just can't get behind Martin Truex Jr. here. And Buescher, he's just behind Brad in every single metric that I compared this week. So I'm going with Brad plus 325 here. Any thoughts on that or anything else you have in the head-to-head or matchup department?
No, I like that. I had a matchup on, or not a matchup, a group, I'm sorry, on Caesars. I had it clicked. I'm just they have freaking 6 or 7 of them, so I had lost it for a second. I'm trying to get back to it. Okay, so I like in Group E on Caesars, it's Austin Dillon, Bubba Wallace, Josh Berry, Justin Haley. I know we like Josh Berry. I know it. But Haley's plus 400 to win this group. And I just kind of really like that number. Someone who's been working on his dirt track racing has come out and said it. And one thing, too, having Davenport there, I say this about Haley at road courses. There's significant improvement since he's gotten to work with AJ all the time. So I believe him and AJ have to be getting something from Davenport here on a dirt race. And he's going to see the track the night before. So I'm just hoping there's some sort of tidbits or things they can learn there. And for plus 400 in that group, I don't mind it. My biggest concern would be Barry because I think the equipment's much better. But Haley has more experience on the dirt. And so for plus 400, I kind of look at it almost like a head-to-head. And I like Haley a lot here.
What book was that you said? DraftKings or Caesars?
That's on Caesars. It's Group E.
Okay. I like it. 6th place start for here last year at Haley. One of its best tracks, honestly, in my opinion. So I'm completely on board with that one. Thank you for letting me know because I will be getting down on that 100% after this show. I will round it out here with my final bet of the night. And this is Ryan or McDowell at Caesars Group C plus 420. We already talked about how we like McDowell here in DFS. I also like him in the betting here this week, guys. He's going up against in Group C, Ty Gibbs, Davenport, Ryan Preece, Todd Gilliland, Ty Dillon. And I know you're high on Ryan Preece, so you might not want to get on this with me. The only place I'm worried about is Ty Gibbs just because he has been a little bit hot lately, 3 top 10s. But Michael McDowell coming off that top 10 at Richmond, had top 15 speed at Phoenix, had top 15 speed at Bristol regular last year. He's good at Bristol. It doesn't matter what service it is. He's really good here. 11th fastest in the late run last year at this track. 9th and 12th place finishes. I like him a lot. I'm basically viewing this as Gibbs, Ryan Preece, and McDowell. I'm not worried about Gilliland or Ty Dillon or Davenport. I know Ty Dillon at one point was good at this track, but not in that equipment this season.
Yeah.
So 420 for McDowell, who I think could also, I don't know if he can get a top 10. This is my way of still getting some juice on him, but not going in the top 10 market here.
Yeah, I like that because, on FanDuel, when the top 10s came out too, his top 10 was 650, but that got smoked right out of there.
Oh, my God. So. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, you got to be like, if there was a way to have alerts on your phone when FanDuel drops top 10s, that's where the money's at. But they get smoked out of there really fast. So I actually got it in front of me right now. Let me see where his top 10 is for fun here. Yeah, he's down to 250. So I totally like the group, like you're saying. Get a little more on it.
Yeah. Yep. 100%. So yeah, I'm going with him in that one. I'm going with Brad plus 325 in that other group over there on Barstool. Any other final thoughts here? Any other wagers we haven't talked about? Any other final notes that our listeners should be considering as we head to Bristol Dirt here, Ryan?
You know what I might have talked myself into, but I might just go with that group bet instead. I got to see where Haley's at, just to throw another Hail Mary out there, because one that I didn't tell you about was Davenport's teammate here this week too. Is I got Dinger at 150. So I kind of I don't know, if I can find Haley at like 100, I'll probably just throw like 0.1 on it or something like that, just to have it in my bag of tricks. But I'll hit that group bet we talked about. Other than that, I just like to say to everyone, tracks like this, races like this, especially with practice and qualifying probably getting rained out, just don't blow your whole load this weekend. Play smart. Anyone listening, live to see another day. So bet to have fun. That everyone forgets all the time. Like, I try to tell everyone to win the race. Like, I just want to have fun. Let's just have fun doing it. We'll win together, we'll lose together, but we'll have fun. And of course, we're trying to be profitable. That's the whole point, and we have been. But gotta have fun.
I love that, man. Absolutely. 80-1 is what I'm seeing Justin Haley over on Barstool right now. Guys, we appreciate the IBT family tuning in tonight. If you guys are new to the channel, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, come back and hang out with us again every Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. We'll have the original gang, Rod and Elliot, back next week. But until then, Ryan, please tell us how we can best support you throughout the remainder of this 2023 NASCAR season, my friend.
Thanks, man. You can go to wintherace.info. That is the website. Features, like I said, 4-tire pit stop ranks. All the loop data is on there for free for all 3 series. Do true performance ranks for all different track types for all 3 series. DraftKings projections on the weekend for Cup. Big article for DraftKings. All my bets, my whole betting card's on there. And that's the thing. Like, you can use all the data and bet yourself, or you can tell me. Don't care either way. It's just meant to be fun, but we do win money. The proof's in the pudding. So, like we said, I'm so glad to hear too that you guys' only losses are Daytona and Richmond. That means we're doing something right. So,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let's get back on it this weekend. I really appreciate you having me on, though. This was great, and hopefully it's not the last time.
Certainly, man. Yeah, we will absolutely welcome you down the back road anytime, as we do our listening audience. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Backroad and the In Between Media YouTube channel. We'll be back next Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Until then, guys, keep it in between. We'll talk to you soon.